I'm a retired general. Welcome to my channel. I'm here because what you see on the news tells you what is happening. I'm going to tell you what it means, as someone who has read intelligence assessments and been inside decision-making rooms. One more thing before we begin. This channel uses its revenue to fund student scholarships. If you subscribe, like, and comment, you are directly supporting that mission. Please hit subscribe now and turn on notifications. Now let's get into it. 6,000 airstrikes. Every Iranian warship sunk. 60 corvettes at the bottom of the Persian Gulf, and the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. 138 ships per day. That was the historical average. This week, some days 1, sometimes 0. 8 seafarers are dead. Insurance companies stopped writing policies, and oil just crossed $105 a barrel. So here is the question I want you to hold in your head until the end of this video. Why, after everything the United States military has thrown at Iran, is the strait still shut? I know the answer, and I am going to give it to you. But not yet, because to understand it, you need to see something that is racing through the South China Sea right now. And then you need to hear about 7 decisions made in rooms you were never invited into. Stay to the end. The answer to why the strait is still closed after 6,000 airstrikes is in the last 60 seconds. It will change how you see this entire war. USS Tripoli, the ship critics called a mistake. On March 15th, satellite imagery caught a 45,000-ton warship moving through the South China Sea at 20 knots. Not a carrier, no press briefing, no announced destination. It was the USS Tripoli, LHA-7. And critics once called it a mistake. Here's why they were wrong. When the Navy built Tripoli without a well deck, the flooding compartment that launches landing craft, the space went somewhere else. It became an expanded hangar, extended aviation fuel storage. The result, a ship that simultaneously operates up to 20 F-35B stealth fighters. That is roughly half the air wing of a nuclear supercarrier, at a fraction of the cost. Right now, Tripoli carries 2,500 Marines and sailors of the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, the only permanently forward-deployed MEU in the U.S. military. They just finished combat exercises alongside Japanese forces. They travel with attack helicopters, heavy lift transport, V-22 Ospreys, and the F-35Bs of Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 121. Escorting Tripoli, the guided missile cruiser USS Robert Smalls, and the destroyer USS Rafael Peralta. Together, a self-contained expeditionary strike group. No shore needed. A ship without a well deck that critics said couldn't do its job may be the one that reopens the world's most important oil lane. Did you know the USS Tripoli existed before this video? What's your reaction? Drop it below. But Tripoli alone cannot reopen the strait, because the real problem is underground. And it started 14 months ago in a room you were not invited into. Iran's underground missile cities. Iran's coastline along the Strait of Hormuz is among the most fortified terrain on Earth. The IRGC spent decades carving missile cities into the mountains of Hormuzgan province. Networks of tunnels housing anti-ship cruise missiles, fast attack boats, sea drones, naval mines. Keshem Island, sitting directly inside the strait, contains an underground missile complex described by military analysts as a fortress. Coastal batteries with C-802 and Qadr anti-ship missiles are embedded in rock faces near Bandar Abbas. A bomb can collapse a tunnel entrance. The IRGC digs a new one. A bomb can destroy a launcher caught in the open. The launcher that stays underground, rolling out only to fire, retreating immediately, is nearly impossible to suppress from the air alone. That is why Tripoli matters more than its tonnage. Aircraft carriers can bomb Iran. Destroyers can shoot down missiles. Neither can walk into a tunnel and clear it. Neither can land on a cliff and silence the launcher firing from a cave above the waterline. The Marines aboard Tripoli, 2,500 of them trained for vertical envelopment, inserting from helicopters and Ospreys onto terrain that has never been prepared for ground defense, bypassing minefields entirely. The Wall Street Journal has reported that U.S. military planners are now reconsidering something the Pentagon has avoided since the Korean War, an amphibious ground operation on Iranian soil. Iran spent decades building missile cities inside mountains that bombs can't reach. Does this change how you think about whether air power alone can win this war? Tell us below. The people who planned this war knew about these tunnels. They planned anyway. And that is where the 7 decisions come in. Stop. Before I give you the 7 decisions, this number 30,000. Remember it. I will tell you what it means in 30 seconds. The 7 decisions. Doors that close. 14 months ago, a specific sequence of decisions was made. Each one closed a door. Each one made this war more inevitable than the one before it. Decision 1, February 2025. Mar-a-Lago. Netanyahu presented Trump with 4 options. From Israel acts alone to America leads everything. Trump said, give diplomacy a chance. But the preparations for all 4 options continued in parallel. Decision 2. November 2025. In a very small forum, Netanyahu said 3 words. Eliminate Khamenei. Not degrade Iran's nuclear program. Not destroy missile capability. Eliminate him personally. The operation was initially planned for mid-2026. Then something happened. That number 30,000. In January 2026, Iranian security forces killed 30,000 of their own citizens in the streets, the protests that the United States had encouraged. The crackdown moved the timeline from mid-2026 to February. Decision 3. While war planning ran, peace talks were producing results. Iran offered to build 19 nuclear reactors with American companies, American jobs, American contracts. The foreign minister's speech announcing the deal was canceled. The war planning continued. Decision 4. February 23rd. A Monday phone call. Netanyahu said Saturday, we know where Khamenei will be. Thursday, the CIA confirmed the location. Geneva collapsed the same day. Trump said Saturday. 5 days from phone call to the largest American military operation since Iraq II. A Monday phone call set the date for the biggest U.S. military operation since Iraq II. 5 days from call to war. Does knowing this change your view of how this war started? Be direct below. And then he went on NBC and said something that should have ended a presidency. Trump NBC, just for fun and no coalition. Trump told NBC that he bombed Karg Island, Iran's primary oil export terminal, and then said the United States might need to hit it a few more times. His words, just for fun. 13 American service members are dead. 200 are injured across 7 countries. And the commander-in-chief used the phrase just for fun about a war. Here is what was happening at the same moment. Trump publicly stated that numerous countries have told me they're on the way to help with the strait. Not one country confirmed this. France denied it. Germany said it would not clean up after your war. Turkey said it would never be involved. Italy said keep us out. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump knew before he gave the order that Iran would likely close the strait if attacked. He decided Iran would back down before doing it. Iran did not back down. Last Saturday, he told Britain we already won. Your ships are too late to help. This Saturday, he was begging China, France, and South Korea for warships. 7 days. From we already won to we need a global flotilla. This is not strategy. This is improvisation performed as toughness. Trump said the U.S. might bomb Iran's oil terminal a few more times, just for fun. 13 Americans are dead. What's your reaction to that phrase in a single word or sentence? Drop it below. And while this was happening on television, here is what was happening in your driveway. Your wallet and the permanent damage. Gas prices are 79 cents higher than 4 weeks ago. Your 401k is down. Energy prices that should be falling are rising. Retirement savings that should be growing are shrinking. CNN polling found only 45% of Americans say they care a lot about this war. Google searches for Iran are down 84% from February 28th. Oscars searches were 3 to 4 times higher than Iran searches last Sunday. Here is why that gap between attention and impact matters. When nations build energy relationships directly with Iran, restructure supply chains to bypass the United States, and establish direct diplomatic channels that cut Washington out, those new routes do not disappear when the crisis ends. They become permanent. The jobs and the money follow the new routes and do not return. Former Republican Governor Chris Sununu called this a 45 to 60-day endeavor. Kevin Hassett said the global economy will see a big positive shock as soon as this is over. Chris Wright said there are no guarantees in war. No guarantees. While your gas tank fills at 434 cents a gallon, gas is 4.134 cents, your 401k is down. Only 45% of Americans are paying attention. But the supply chain's restructuring right now won't reverse when the war ends. Are you worried about the long-term economic damage? Comment below. The answer, now. The answer to the question from the beginning. Why is the strait still closed after 6,000 airstrikes? Because the 7th decision was never made. There is no endgame plan, no alternative government for 90 million Iranians, no post-war strategy. Netanyahu planned to eliminate Khamenei. Trump planned to bomb 5,000 targets. Neither planned for the morning after. The Council on Foreign Relations said it directly. The likely outcome is chaos, civil war, or both. The strait is closed not because America lacks firepower. It is closed because firepower alone was never going to be enough. And someone in a room you were never invited into decided to start this war anyway. Subscribe right now. Turn on notifications. Because the next development whether it is Tripoli reaching the Gulf, a ground operation on